Most women never suddenly lose attraction. They emotionally leave long before disappearing completely. And the terrifying part is most men never notice until another guy replaces them. She still replies sometimes, still laughs occasionally, still watches your Instagram stories almost nightly. Meanwhile, another man quietly enters her mind while everything still feels emotionally normal outside. That is exactly why modern dating destroys emotionally attached men faster than almost anything today. Because desperation never feels dangerous whenever you become emotionally trapped inside obsession constantly afterward. At first, you convince yourself she simply needs space because life feels stressful lately. Then her replies slowly become colder, while your thoughts become louder every exhausting, lonely night. You reread old conversations, desperately searching hidden meanings behind harmless-looking, dry responses afterward repeatedly. Soon, your entire emotional state depends completely upon one woman's unpredictable attention every single day. That is usually the exact moment masculine confidence quietly collapses, without most men realizing immediately afterward. Because women rarely lose attraction from one awkward conversation or emotional mistake alone afterward suddenly, attraction usually dies slowly through insecurity, emotional neediness, overthinking, and desperate approval-seeking behaviors constantly. And unfortunately, most men never recognize attraction dying until emotional replacement finally emotionally arrives afterward quietly. I once knew a man exactly like this years ago during one brutal Chicago winter. He noticed her every afternoon sitting quietly inside the same downtown coffee shop reading novels. She always ordered caramel lattes while snow slowly covered parked cars outside nearby silently afterward nightly. Nothing about her seemed loud or attention-seeking, which strangely attracted him instantly, emotionally afterward. Soon, he started arriving earlier, daily, hoping accidentally sharing another quiet moment beside her nearby. But every time he considered approaching her, anxiety immediately destroyed his confidence and emotional composure afterward. Scientists discovered anticipation releases stronger dopamine spikes than many rewarding experiences themselves, emotionally afterward, consistently. That explains why emotionally attached men become addicted before relationships genuinely even begin sometimes today. Because fantasy grows dangerously powerful whenever reality still feels emotionally incomplete and mysteriously unavailable afterward constantly. One snowy Thursday afternoon, she glanced toward him briefly before smiling softly, without hesitation afterward, naturally. That tiny moment replayed repeatedly inside his mind during sleepless nights afterward for hours, constantly. Suddenly, every song reminded him about her, despite knowing almost nothing personally about her life. Without realizing it, he stopped admiring her, while slowly emotionally worshiping her instead afterward, completely. That psychological shift silently destroys attraction before most conversations even properly begin between strangers today. Still, he finally approached her Friday afternoon, pretending curiosity toward the mystery novel she carried yesterday. His voice sounded nervous, while his hands slightly trembled, reaching awkwardly across nearby empty chairs afterward. She smiled politely, before recommending the book without showing visible discomfort toward him emotionally. Afterward there, for several exciting seconds, he genuinely believed everything finally started moving perfectly into his favor emotionally. But moments later, anxiety quietly returned stronger, because now he feared losing future possibilities afterward constantly. Over following weeks, their conversations slowly became longer and strangely more emotionally personal afterward, naturally, daily. She occasionally sent late-night voice messages, complaining about stressful coworkers and apartment neighbors recently afterward. Sometimes, she reacted first toward his Instagram stories, which secretly accelerated his heartbeat instantly afterward, emotionally. One random Tuesday night, she texted laughing emojis beneath his sarcastic coffee addiction joke afterward online. That tiny interaction triggered dopamine spikes stronger than most men consciously realize, emotionally, today, afterward, constantly. Because unpredictable emotional rewards psychologically affect male attachment patterns, similarly addictive gambling machines operate daily. Soon, his mornings depended entirely upon whether her name appeared across his glowing phone screen, afterward. Whenever she replied quickly, he felt confident, masculine, motivated, emotionally alive, and unstoppable again afterward completely. But whenever several hours passed silently, his thoughts immediately became obsessive, insecure, and emotionally exhausting afterward. He reread previous conversations, desperately searching evidence she still secretly liked him somewhere emotionally afterward constantly. Then he started crafting perfect replies, carefully avoiding jokes potentially ruining attraction between them accidentally afterward. Confident men express themselves naturally, while emotionally attached men constantly calculate every response carefully afterward instead. And women instinctively sense emotional pressure faster than desperate men consciously realize. Today, afterward, naturally, always. Still, she continued giving mixed signals, which emotionally trapped him even deeper inside confusion, afterward, daily. Some nights, she flirted effortlessly, while calling him different from every other man nearby emotionally afterward. Then, suddenly, next morning, her responses became colder, shorter, emotionally distant, and impossible understanding afterward completely. That inconsistency slowly transformed attraction into emotional addiction, without him noticing dangerous consequences afterward completely. He stopped focusing entirely upon fitness goals, friendships, business ambitions, and emotional discipline afterward gradually. Instead, he spent hours analyzing delayed replies while imagining another man replacing him emotionally nearby afterward. Eventually, one painful realization quietly entered his mind during another sleepless, anxious 3 o'clock morning afterward. He no longer enjoyed talking with her anymore, because now he desperately needed validation constantly afterward emotionally. Unfortunately, that emotional shift was exactly where her attraction quietly started disappearing without warning afterward completely. At first, she genuinely enjoyed his energy because he felt emotionally calm and refreshingly different. Initially, he never chased attention aggressively and rarely seemed desperate for female validation during conversations previously afterward. That emotional restraint naturally created mystery, which psychologically increases attraction inside modern dating dynamics tremendously today. But slowly, his behavior changed once emotional attachment replaced masculine emotional stability, afterward completely internally. He replied instantly every single time, regardless how busy life became during stressful workdays afterward constantly. Whenever she mentioned problems, he rushed, desperately trying fixing everything emotionally for her immediately afterward always. He constantly complimented her appearance while avoiding playful disagreement because rejection terrified him emotionally afterward deeply. Without realizing it, he transformed from emotionally intriguing into emotionally safe and painfully predictable afterward gradually. That exact transformation silently destroys chemistry inside countless modern relationships every single year emotionally afterward. One evening, she noticed him double texting after she ignored messages several exhausting hours afterward accidentally. That moment triggered something instinctive emotionally, although she never openly admitted attraction disappearing afterward completely internally. Psychologists discovered emotional overavailability lowers perceived value within early romantic attachment stages dramatically afterward consistently. People subconsciously desire what feels emotionally rewarding yet slightly difficult obtaining afterward naturally instead. Always. Unfortunately, he unknowingly removed every emotional challenge originally making conversations exciting previously, afterward completely now. Now, she always knew when he would text and emotionally react afterward immediately, every single time. The mystery disappeared completely, while emotional tension quietly disappeared alongside attraction afterward, naturally too, today. Then, one brutal Saturday afternoon, everything finally became painfully clear without needing explanations emotionally afterward, completely. He entered the coffee shop expecting seeing her reading quietly beside familiar, snowy windows afterward again. Instead, he saw her laughing freely beside another man while touching his arm softly afterward, naturally. And the worst part was realizing she once looked exactly the same around him previously, afterward. That single moment forced him confronting painful truths emotionally attached men usually avoid completely afterward instead. Most men believe rejection happens during painful conversations, when women officially friendzone them emotionally afterward, publicly. But attraction actually starts dying much earlier, while everything still feels emotionally perfect afterward, completely. The moment men emotionally worship women masculine emotional balance immediately starts collapsing internally afterward, completely instead. The moment men seek approval instead expressing confidence, attraction slowly begins emotionally starving afterward, naturally too. The moment men become emotionally predictable, mystery disappears and romantic tension dies afterward, completely, eventually, instead. And the moment men desperately seek validation, women instinctively begin emotionally pulling away afterward, naturally too. Because women rarely chase men, constantly chasing reassurance, certainty, and emotional attention afterward, desperately, instead constantly. Before ending this video, there is something brutally honest you genuinely deserve hearing today, emotionally. Finally. That entire story was never about some random emotionally attached guy losing attraction completely afterward, painfully. The man obsessively waiting beside that Chicago coffee shop window years ago was actually me personally. I remember staring endlessly toward my phone, waiting desperately for meaningless delayed messages afterward, nightly, constantly. I remember replaying conversations repeatedly, wondering which sentence destroyed her attraction emotionally afterward, completely, forever. And honestly, the most painful realization involved understanding she probably forgot me surprisingly fast afterward, emotionally. Meanwhile, I spent months carrying emotional confusion, insecurity, rejection, trauma, and silent obsession afterward, completely alone. That experience changed everything, because heartbreak forces masculine growth whenever men finally accept painful truths afterward. I realized women never rejected me because another man looked physically better afterward, emotionally completely instead. They lost attraction because emotionally I stopped feeling grounded, calm, confident, and emotionally self-controlled afterward. The more desperately I needed validation, reassurance, certainty, and attention from women emotionally afterward, constantly, daily, the more invisible, emotionally weak, and psychologically predictable I gradually became around them afterward, naturally instead. Ironically, everything changed once I stopped centering my emotional world around female attention afterward completely, finally. I focused again upon fitness, business goals, friendships, emotional discipline, and masculine self-respect afterward consistently. Suddenly, conversations felt lighter because emotionally, I no longer feared losing attractive women afterward constantly anymore. And strangely, that emotional detachment made women noticeably more curious around me afterward, naturally, again, consistently. Because attraction grows strongest whenever women sense emotional strength without desperate validation-seeking behaviors afterward, constantly. So if someone currently pulls away emotionally, stop chasing harder, trying, forcing attraction, returning afterward desperately. Sometimes the strongest masculine move involves emotionally walking away before completely losing yourself afterward, permanently instead. And trust me, once you stop desperately needing validation, people finally feel your absence afterward completely.